Hi, welcome back. If this is your first time here, my name is Ashley Beal and I'm a registered dietitian. Today we are going to make Mediterranean pitas using frozen meatballs. As you may know, I like to keep my cooking videos simple, quick, and easy, and frozen meatballs are such a great way to get protein in without all of the extra time and hassle. For today's pitas, we are going to need some type of pita bread. I'm gonna make 4 pitas today, so you can get however many that you need. Crumbled feta cheese, your favorite tzatziki sauce. Next, we'll need some type of lettuce. I have romaine lettuce for today. You could also use iceberg lettuce, and you can also get the kind that is pre-shredded or pre-chopped. Then we'll need 3 Roma tomatoes and about 1/4 cup of chopped red onions. I have some left over from a previous recipe, but you can also just grab a red onion and chop about 1/4 cup of that. A lemon or lemon juice. And I was able to grab some fresh parsley. I'm just gonna use this as like a garnish to add some additional flavor. You can either skip this step or just use dried parsley. You will want to grab some form of cucumber. This funky shaped cucumber right here is actually an English cucumber, and they're known for being seedless, and they offer just a little bit of a different flavor than regular cucumbers. You can grab whichever variety that you like. We're gonna be using these today. And last but not least, you'll want to have some olive oil on hand. For cooking equipment that we're going to need today, you'll want to have out a cutting board and a sharp knife to chop some of our veggies, a medium to large size bowl to mix some of our toppings together, and a large stovetop pan, ideally with a lid. I'm going to show you how I like to cook my frozen meatballs, steaming them in a pan with a little bit of water, but there should also be plenty of different types of heating instructions on your bag. So if there's another way that you like to do that, feel free to do that instead. To get started, one thing I really like to do is chop up some of my veggies and marinate them in kind of a lemon olive oil mixture. So if you want to follow along and do that, that's what I'm going to do next. Otherwise, you can just chop your veggies along with me and then just add them as toppings by themselves. Either way would be delicious. If you do want to follow along and marinate your vegetables, this is how we are going to do it. You will take your cucumber. Today I'm going to use about half of my cucumber, so I'm just going to go ahead and chop it in half. I like to just cut mine right down the middle. This way I can have a flat side to lay down on my cutting board. With this step, we will just slice right down the middle one more time. Then slice those sides in the middle. So you should have 4 smaller sections of cucumber, like that. Bring them together. And then you're just gonna chop into small diced pieces. Add this to my mixing bowl and do the same for the other half. Slice down the middle, slice those sides in the middle. And once you have your 4 strips, just cut like this. Okay, add that to the bowl. Like I said, I have some pre-chopped onions here already. If you want some instruction on how I generally like to do that, I will link 2 of my previous videos where I show you how I chop onions with a knife, and then also a handy tool that I use when I need to chop more onions. So today, just gonna add these into my bowl. Next, I'm going to rinse and chop my tomatoes. This I will chop the very same way that I did my cucumbers, right down the middle, so I have a flat surface. Chop it in half. Chop those halves, and then bring the slices together and do the same. If you're finding that your knife is having a hard time going through the skin, you can also flip it onto this side where the inside's going to be a lot easier to slice through. So you could do that as well. And then same thing, just bunch them together, chop through. It's always a good idea to regularly sharpen your knives, so that way they are easier to work with. I've also seen some grocery stores where they have kind of like a cucumber tomato salad anyway that's already marinated. If you want to skip this step, you could also just buy that and use that as part of your topping. Okay, add them to my bowl. And here we go. Okay, so to this veggie mixture, I am going to add some fresh parsley. I'm gonna pull apart the top leaves, leaving the stems behind, putting those away. If you are using dried parsley, you can actually use a little less. Maybe start with half of this and then see for yourself if you wanna add more. For my parsley, I'm going to just kind of bundle them up here as best I can, take my knife, and I am just gonna move my fingers as I chop some of this parsley. Go the other direction. If you don't feel comfortable having your hand close to the knife, you can also just kind of seesaw it back and forth a couple of times, then spin my cutting board around and do it again to the other side. Now, once you have them chopped nicely, add them to your bowl. Parsley always has such a fresh smell. Then we'll take our lemon here, cut it in half. If you don't have any lemons on hand, you can always grab some of this freshly squeezed lemon juice. If you've seen some of my past recipes, I often will do this in the place of lime or lemon juice, especially if I need to use a lot. For this recipe, since I'm only using a tablespoon or two, I got a fresh lemon instead. Either works fine. Be careful of the seeds as you squeeze. My other lemon half I will just set aside to use as a garnish over top of my pita. Next, I'm going to take my olive oil and just kind of do a light drizzle over top like this. Just enough to coat everything. Lastly, flavor it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Grab your mixing spoon, toss it all together. It smells so good. And this is what you'll get. Lots of pretty colors in there. So to let this marinate, I'm just gonna sit it in the refrigerator while I prepare everything else, and then we'll take it back out when we're ready to put together our pitas. Okay, now that we have that marinating, let's prepare our frozen meatballs. I'm gonna start with my lid off, turn my burner to about medium-high heat, and let my pan heat up. Once you feel the heat coming off your pan, you can add your frozen meatballs. You should hear them start to sizzle. Give them a little shake, make sure that they are in a nice even layer. To start, I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup of water just to help steam and cook the meatballs all the way through. Then I will put the lid back on. In about 3 to 5 minutes, I will come back and check on them, give them a little stir, and add more water if needed. While I'm waiting for my meatballs to cook a little bit, I'm just gonna tidy up my area and make sure that all of my toppings are out, so that way when the meatballs are ready, we can start to make our pitas. You should start to see some of the condensation and steam building up on your lid. After a few minutes, we'll remove our lid. Careful not to open the lid up towards you because the hot steam will then have nowhere to go but towards you. So you kind of want to open it facing the oven, just like that. You can hear it sizzling nicely. Kind of stir it around. The bottom parts of your meatballs might also start to be developing this nice little crust to them. I don't know if you can see this, but most of my water has already evaporated. So I will add another 1/4 cup of water, give it a good stir. Then we can put the lid back on and cook it for another 3 to 5 minutes. You'll start to notice that a lot more steam should be coming out from your lid. So I am going to lift my lid again away from me, giving them another good stir. Since the frozen meatballs are pre-cooked, we're just trying to heat them all the way through. We don't necessarily have to worry about undercooking them. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of cut one of my meatballs in half, feel it quickly with my finger, and because it's warmed all the way through, I will turn off my stove. Then we can set these aside next to all of our other pita toppings, wait for them to cool for a few minutes, and then make our pitas. Here we go. While we were waiting for these to cool, let's get out our marinated cucumbers and tomatoes. There we go. Get out your pitas, put them all on a plate, and I'm gonna microwave these for about 15 seconds just to get them nice and warm so they're easier to fold. You may have to add a few extra seconds on your pitas to get them warmed, depending on how many you have on your plate. But once you have them nice and warmed up, grab out your individual serving plate, start with one pita at a time, layer on your tzatziki sauce right here in the middle, like that. Add a piece or two of lettuce, then your meatballs. Using the same spoon that you used for your tzatziki. Grab some of your tomato and cucumber mixture and just put it over top. If you did not go with the marinade and instead wanted to do just diced tomatoes or cucumbers or both, this would be a good time to put those on. Then I'm gonna top it off with some of my crumbled feta. Take my half a lemon from before, squeeze a little bit on that. Then lastly, just top it off with some additional pepper and salt. And there we go. You can see why you're gonna want your pita to be foldable because this is a good size meal. Now for the best part. So good. Even in that first bite, I got so many of the different flavors. I feel like this would be really nice on like a hot summer day or maybe a nice cool evening. You could also serve these with a side of roasted potatoes or French fries. Sometimes I like to do pita chips and hummus, but you can really mix it up to whatever you or your family like to eat. If you have any additional ideas, please share them down below. I would love to hear from you. If you tried this meal and you enjoyed it, let us know, share with your friends and family. I will do my best to link everything that I used here today in the description below, as well as an introduction video about me and why I started this channel. But for now, thank you for cooking with me today, and I'll see you next time.